Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up for you. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and digperspectives.com right there. It is now a $2.29 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is off by 1.5%. 62,600 plus for Bitcoin right now. 2,500 plus. 119 billion plus market cap for Tether. USDC 35 billion plus. XRP's 58 cents. And we're up 0.4 on the 24 and 0.2 on the 7 day. So where will we sit when the real USD launches, ladies and gentlemen? Will it be in the top 10 like the other two dominant stable coins, or will it have to climb its way up? What I'm asking is will there be enough institutions and partners that take a position institutionally on the back end that set that dollar right up in here in the top? Or I'm also asking, or will Tether be forced to be on the XRP ledger? And what could that do? You know, there isn't a lot of transparency with Tether in certain cases. So I could see a situation where they would be forced to be on the ledger to fall into compliance or something that nature, assets and all of the business. But nonetheless, there's so much exciting going on. Let's get into it. We're ranging between 61 cents and 58. So XRP was feeling froggy overnight. We'll see what's going on. Look, technical analysts are telling us the entire market is about to go crazy in the best way possible. And I want them to be right so bad. But until then, I do want to tell you about this. It's linked to, and I don't have to guess about private equity. Private equity is what the wealthiest 1% of the world invest in. This is it. This is the big secret that the wealthy 1% know about. Private equity. And now you can know about it too. All you got to do is click the link below and get started today. It takes less than 5 minutes to sign up, register, and fund your account. And do you know that Cerebras is on here and you can get private equity shares of Cerebras through their SPV vehicles? And here's what you know. Cerebras has already filed that they're going public. So has Circle. I'm telling you, this is remarkable. So is Link2. And all of these products, well, Link2 is not available now, but all of these products were available on this platform, and some still are, like Cerebras. So what are you waiting for? Click the link below and get started today. Check out my sponsor. John Deaton to debate Elizabeth Warren on October 15th, and I got the popcorn ready right now. Yeah, let me tell you, this will be the first night officially of the end of Senator Warren's political career, because she's been feckless, and he's going to destroy her. And I'm going to watch it with friends and family. It's unbelievable. I cannot wait. And let me tell you, I want to ask all of you to a call to action, because John Deaton came to our aid without anyone asking. And he's too good to ask you, but I'm not. I'm going to ask you, because I've given a lot to him in his campaign, and I'm going to try to give more. And all I'm asking for each of you to do, we are so close. She is such a polarizing figure in this country, in our government, in her state, and certainly when it comes to the crypto asset, digital asset space. So let's get her voted out. Please donate what you can at johndeatonforsenate.com. And please, you have power on social media. You may not realize it. I don't care how many followers you think you don't have. You can politely tag Tim Draper, Michael Saylor, Brian Armstrong. Ask all of these big Bitcoin guys if they're going to please donate to John Deaton so we can get him in there and the anti-crypto general out. South Carolina's central bank, the Bank of Korea, will soon allow participants to use digital tokens for payments at supermarkets, convenience stores, in a central bank digital currency trial. Again, another country ahead of the United States. Meanwhile, Smoke Dog, where there's smoke, there's fire. If you're not following him, Tether will be excluded from the U.S. stablecoin regulations. That's what Signum's saying. In a 2024 investment research report confirming the upcoming U.S. stablecoin regulations, which will set the groundwork for stablecoin framework in the United States, the same way that MiCA regulations in the EU have set that for 27 nations there, right? Will disadvantage non-U.S. entities like Tether. The world's largest economy by GDP has no plans to include the leading stablecoin in its regulation. Tether loyalists can ignore this warning if they wish, but doing so will be at their own risk. Look, the era of Tether is ending, and I'm presenting the proof. And this is what I've said. We don't really have a truly regulated market until we understand how the U.S. government is going to treat Tether. And according to the Signum report, the new stablecoin bill will introduce to the United States Senate in April will encourage U.S. banks to issue stablecoins and disadvantage non-bank stablecoin issuers and non-U.S. entities such as Tether directly. It's already happened to the EU. Now, that has not affected their market cap as of yet. But if this goes through, I don't see how it couldn't. IMF, the International Monetary Fund. You're going to like where we're going with the last half of this video. Glad you tuned in on a Sunday. IMF staff members have introduced a high-level 4-stage framework emphasizing regulation, education, design, and incentives to enhance CBDC adoption. Well, here is the article we know, and they're proposing REDI, R-E-D-I, framework to catalyze CBDC adoption. Now, they don't really discuss in this article who created REDI, what it's really behind. Is it white labeled? Is there a private company helping them do this? I'm sure that there is, but we don't know. They don't mention it. They don't say in here, right? So you see REDI and all the different categories to prepare. But they don't give any names of anything, but you know it's coming, right? And then in the spirit of things, I wanted to remind everybody that it was the World Economic Forum that told all of us that most relevant for wholesale CBDCs is, in fact, JP Morgan Coin and XRP, according to the World Economic Forum Policy Toolmaker Kit from back in 2017. This is why it's always good to go back. And the IMF is discussing this for CBDC adoption and framework. The World Economic Forum, not the IMF, and the IMF has certainly talked about the advantages of Ripple plenty and XRP. But nevertheless, this right here is showing me that the IMF and the World Economic Forum alike are all aligned in how they get there. That's how I see it. I'm speculating a bit. But here's the BIS to add to my speculation. 41 institutions joined the task force. You all know that on this list, the blockchain infrastructure company listed is Ripple. Yeah, there's no Bitcoin, there's no Ethereum listed at all. Isn't that interesting? And in the light of that, can we imagine that XRP could become the #1 market cap? Because I can guarantee you there's more than $1 trillion on this list. And there's only one blockchain company here. I'll let you work the math on that one because you about love where we're going again. The largest custodian bank in the U.S., BNY Mellon, reportedly got an exemption from adhering to the SEC's SAB 121 accounting guidelines, which actually stopped every other bank in the world and the U.S., from participating in custodying crypto for their clients. Thank you, Gary Gensler. But BNY Mellon wasn't stopped. They were the only one that was allowed to go, being the largest custodian bank in the U.S., being a partner of Ripple for years. Yeah. Then there is this. Proof of concept we covered yesterday. BNY Mellon feels like they are very special. Ripple and Stellar, they are special blockchains. Oh, I'm going to go again on you. Take a listen to this from BNY Mellon here.
What we recognize that after all the conversations, based on a client demand, and that's very important, based on a support from the whole ecosystem here in the US and globally, we decided to make it a business. So we announced the digital asset business, which Caroline actually leads, and she used to lead custody for us, which is what Bank of New York is known for. Yes. I mean, we are the custodian for 45 trillion of assets. That's
45 trillion in assets. Oh, hang on. I'm not done with you yet. Mr. Man shows us this. They put out a Financial Times report from the BNY Mellon. That's the Federal Reserve in Singapore conducted wholesale pilots which would allow for financial reset through the use of multiple currencies in MCBDC, which is pointing to the M bridge, which we know again from James Wallace from Ripple is in fact at least one of the pilots with the BIS at M bridge, if not the pilot. We're just waiting to find out if there's any other blockchains being looked at in the M bridge pilot program or not, right? I didn't hear James talk about that. But then BNY Mellon. Remember PolySign before it went under? And I have no idea how Jack McDonald is working today at Ripple, to be perfectly honest. I have lost a lot of money, and I'm totally okay. You win some, you lose some. But it's how that deal went down that feels very strange, the way that standard custody was able to be bought, but then PolySign was able to be left on the floor. It's very disturbing the way this deal fell apart, and then how Jack could end up working at Ripple. I don't know. I just feel like that's a conversation that isn't finished, and we'll see what happens there. But nonetheless, looking past that pain, right? Because it's a lot of pain, but that's what happens in life, right? But looking past that, Tim Keeney used to work at PolySign, right? Where they were built to scale into the trillions, if you remember. Tim Keeney came from where? BNY Mellon. And what was Tim Keeney in charge of? 25% of the global institutional assets for the world. That's what he did when he was at BNY Mellon, part of that 45 trillion. And then he went to PolySign. So now that PolySign's done, standard custody was bought by Ripple. Jack got a job at Ripple. Did Tim Keeney from BNY Mellon get a job at Ripple too? Like I said, there's so many unanswered questions, right? I don't know the answer, I also like to know, here's a great question to know, when they did the vote to piece and part the company away and sell standard custody to Ripple and leave everything else, who was in the board vote on that decision? Was Arthur Brito and David a part of that? Because there could be a conflict of interest through that voting in there because they also have positions at Ripple, right? So it gets tricky. I don't know the answer, but I think this is part of that story, those questions that I think people should deserve to understand and know how that took place so they can get a more clear understanding. Like I said, you win some investments, you lose some, but also at the same time, I'd like to know the complete story, so if there's a way for me to be a better investor going forward in the future, I have that information and understand the full unfolding of what took place, so I have the complete understanding going forward in my investment life. So that's really what it's about for me at this point. So, a lot of pain, but we're pushing through. Ripple's recent trends in regional payments report suggest FedNow could bridge the gap between traditional banking and decentralized finance. Do you see what's happening here? We just went through the list today. IMF, the World Economic Forum, the BIS, BNY Mellon, right? They're allowed to custody. No other U.S. bank is. They're the largest custodian in the U.S. And now we're getting an article a couple days ago that told us FedNow could actually set this thing in motion. Yeah, no kidding, right? Because Ripple's a part of that too. So this is super, super exciting. And at the same time, all this fundamental news is sitting there humming. Maybe it is next April when they introduce legislation. Maybe it is last April and it's just nothing's happened. I don't know which April they're discussing. But I know at the rate that we're seeing things happen, and at the rate that we're seeing the adoption take place and clarity around the world well ahead of where the U.S. is, I would expect the U.S. to come through like a knockout punch that you're not going to see. It's going to happen very quickly because in order to remain a leader, which I believe they will do, they're going to have to act in the 11th hour and then bang, it goes through. Now, whether it's before the end of this year or sometime early next year, we'll have to just watch and see. But while we're watching and see, look at these Bollinger Bands so tight, right? And look at this, the actual Bollinger Bands that I showed yesterday on the chart as well. Look how tight that is, and we got that out of it. Look how tight that is, we got $1.92 out of it. Look how tight this is, and we still don't know where that's going to go, but I'm super excited to find out. Because this time around, I don't think it's just going to be the retail investors and the spirit animals. This time around, I think we get the retail investors, the spirit animals, the institutions, and the legacy systems right along with it. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you on the next one.